radioactive incident. In 1977, the Juarez Medical Society Hospital went bankrupt and closed its doors. The medical equipment was left abandoned in a storage facility, unsupervised and without security protocols, for nearly 6 years, as the hospital lacked qualified personnel to operate it. On December 6, 1983, Vicente Sotelo Alarda, then an employee of the medical center, was instructed by the hospital's maintenance supervisor to dismantle the remaining machinery to sell it as scrap. The workers, armed with rudimentary tools, broke through the protective shielding. Sotelo disassembled the head of the machine and extracted a cylinder. Since it weighed about 100 kilograms, Sotelo asked a friend, Ricardo Hernandez, for help transporting the material in a small cargo truck. They took the equipment to a metal scrapyard to make some money. On their way back home, Vicente's truck suffered a mechanical failure and remained stranded near Sotelo's residence in Ciudad Juarez. Little did he know, the worst was yet to come. On January 16, 1984, the Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, USA, detected the presence of radioactivity in the vicinity. The detector was triggered because a truck carrying rod had strayed and passed near the laboratory. United States authorities initially concluded that the rebar had set off the alert and notified Mexico's National Commission for Nuclear Safety and Safeguards, CNSNS, on January 18th. The commission confirmed widespread dispersion of radioactive cobalt-60 from the metal cylinder, which had been recycled. The distribution of manufactured rebar was suspended until it could be verified that it was not contaminated. On January 26, 1984, CNSNS personnel detected an abandoned truck emitting radiation levels of up to 1,000 Roentgens per hour. Since the vehicle was in a densely populated area, it was towed to El Chamizal Park. Through the truck, the commission traced Vicente Sotelo, who confirmed ownership and revealed that it came from the Specialties Medical Center. After further investigation, the CNSNS determined that 30,000 table bases and 6,600 tons of rebar had been produced using the contaminated material. Decontamination efforts began on January 20th, 1984, 2 days after the CNSNS was notified by U.S. authorities. Between February 8th and April 14th, contaminated materials were located and contained at the scrapyard. During these months, decontamination also took place, and efforts were initiated to trace contaminated rebar shipments through 17 Mexican states. The commission recovered 2,360 tons of unused rebar and inspected over 17,000 constructions, ordering the demolition of 814 buildings. However, by June 1984, 1,000 tons of contaminated rebar remained unaccounted and distributed across multiple Mexican states. The CNSNS also recovered all 30,000 contaminated table bases and 90% of the 1,000 tons of contaminated rebar exported to the United States. It is said that there are still many houses and buildings contaminated with cobalt-60 from that radioactive accident. The Sniper. On October 2nd, 2002, a sniper's bullet wounded a 55-year-old man in a parking lot in Wheaton, Maryland. By 10 a.m. the next day, 4 more people just a few miles away had been similarly murdered. The attacks were quickly linked, and an extensive interagency investigation was launched. The case was led by the Montgomery County Police Department, Maryland, under the command of Chief Charles Moose, with support from the FBI and many other law enforcement agencies. Chief Moose had specifically requested FBI assistance under a federal law concerning serial murders. Within days, the FBI alone had about 400 agents across the country working in the case. A toll-free number was set up to gather information from the public, with teams of new agents in training helping to manage the hotline. Our evidence experts digitally mapped many of the evolving crime scenes, and our behavioral analysts helped develop a profile of the shooter for investigators. On October 17th, a caller claiming to be the sniper phoned in and, as a sort of investigative tease, said he was responsible for the murder of 2 women. In fact, only one had been killed. During the robbery of a liquor store in Montgomery, Alabama, a month earlier. That call became the key breakthrough that led to the sniper's capture. Investigators quickly discovered that a crime similar to the one described in the call had indeed occurred, and that ballistic and fingerprint evidence from the case was available. An FBI agent in Mobile retrieved the evidence and immediately flew to Washington, D.C., arriving on the night of Monday, October 21st. While the ATF handled the ballistic analysis, the FBI took the fingerprints to its lab, then located at headquarters. The next morning, the fingerprint database yielded a match. A magazine left at the crime scene contained the prints of Lee Boyd Malvo, linked to a prior arrest in Washington state. They now had a suspect. The arrest record provided another key lead. It mentioned a man named John Allen Muhammad. An agent in Tacoma recognized the name from a prior report related to the case. A second suspect. Collaboration with the ATF revealed that Muhammad owned a Bushmaster .223 rifle, which constituted a federal violation due to a restraining order against him. This allowed them to charge him with firearms offenses. And with Malvo clearly linked, the FBI and ATF jointly obtained a federal warrant to declare him a material witness. The legal documents were ready. Meanwhile, on October 22nd, a search of the criminal database showed that Muhammad had registered a blue Chevy Caprice with license plate NDA21Z in New Jersey. This description was released to the media and widely shared. On the morning of October the 24th, the hunt for the snipers came to a quick end when a team of Maryland State Police, Montgomery County SWAT officers, and special agents from our hostage rescue team arrested the sleeping John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo without a struggle. Just a few hours earlier, at approximately 11:45 p.m., their dark blue 1990 Chevy Caprice with its New Jersey license plate had been spotted at a rest stop parking lot off I-70 in Maryland. Within the hour, law enforcement swarmed the scene, set up a perimeter, and monitored for any movements to ensure there would be no escape. What evidence experts from the FBI and other police forces found there was both revealing and shocking. The Bushmaster .223 caliber rifle used in each attack, a rifle scope for aiming, a back seat with a sheet metal removed between the passenger compartment and the trunk, enabling the shooter to access the trunk from inside the car. A hole cut into the trunk near the license plate, allowing shots to be fired from within the vehicle. A digital voice recorder used by both Malvo and Muhammad to make extortion demands. A laptop stolen from one of the victims containing maps of shooting sites and getaway routes from some crime scenes, maps, walkie-talkies, and many other items. It was, in effect, a rolling sniper's nest. If you have any other cases you want me to check out, let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for listening, and be safe out there.